What's up, guys? We recently made a video talking about the steps it would take to get to where you were billing $3,000 a week. But then we had a comment from a subscriber who basically made the comment that doing the work isn't his problem. The problem is the back end stuff. Actually, we'll put the comment on the screen right here so you guys can check it out. But I'm going to address what he said, is saying that the problem is the taxes, the accounting, the back end of what type of licensing you have to have, and we'll address that in a second. But this video, I just wanted to briefly go over, even if you have a full-time job and you can't do your business full-time right away, starting part-time, which is exactly what I did. I had a full-time job at a construction management firm um, as a project manager. And in my spare time, either early in the morning, at night, or on the weekends, I would go out and I would do a job or two a day, or on Saturdays and Sundays, I would do a bunch of jobs. I did have a friend of mine who had a lawn care business that already had customers. And basically I said, hey, well, tell all of your customers that if they need their gutters cleaned, if they need this done, if they need that done, then you know somebody that can do it. So I used that avenue to get my first set of customers going. But then once the ball was rolling, it just kind of took off and we went from there. So I'm going to go over that basically and just say what you really need to do on the back end to make sure you have your ducks in a row. And those things are going to be simple. I think I said in the previous video also, but every state is going to be different. Every county is going to be different. And then every city is going to be different. And if you live somewhere that has townships and all that, I don't know anything about that. We live in the Commonwealth, so we don't have those things here. But I can tell you that the people I know in North Carolina and in Virginia that own contracting businesses that I deal with on a regular basis, every city has its own set of rules and requirements. And then the county that the city's in has its own set of rules and requirements. And then the state has its own rules and requirements. Now, if you're only going to be doing handyman to start, which is where I would suggest anybody who's doesn't have a license for a trade and hasn't gone to school to do a trade, then this is where you would want to start. And then, figure out what you like. I know a guy who started as a handyman, kind of fell in love with doing HVAC work, and went to college at night and got his HVAC certification, then became a master. Now he owns an HVAC company that's doing really well. He's doing really great. And you can definitely pursue those avenues. I know another guy who worked for me for a while, went to school at night to become an electrician. And then when he was finished, basically I couldn't pay him what he was worth. So he left and he went and started his own electrical thing. And that's great. And I hope that whoever's watching this, at least one of you guys can go out and do the exact same thing for yourself. But all that being said, you need to first go to the city you live in first and ask them, hey, I want to start a handyman business. What are my requirements? What are my limitations? The requirements are going to be some form of licensing, some form of business license that they're going to require you to pay for. And these things don't cost that much. It's just that you have to go through the paperwork and the process of getting it done. It's really not a ton of money to get started. I think in where the city where our business is registered, I believe the business license application fee is $75. And until you're billing money, you don't have to pay more than that. I think we pay like 0.2% of our gross revenue towards our business license, and it gets basically audited at the end of the year. So we pay for the previous year, the next year, but that'll be different for everywhere, wherever you go. So make sure you get your local business license, local handyman's license, or whatever type of business you're going to try to go into, and then go to your county and ask your county, hey, I have this from the city. Is there anything I need to do for you guys to be running this type of business? And they might say, like here in this state, they might say, no, as long as you're not going to bill more than $10,000 a job or $150,000 a year to start, you don't have to do anything with us. And the state might do the exact same thing. But when you get to that next threshold, then there's going to be a next step and a next process that you're going to have to go through. But to get started, you don't have to worry about all that. So go to your local first, find out what your requirements are to start the business, what type of business licensing they're going to require, and if there's any specialty licensing they're going to require for you to have a handyman style business. I would shoot low. I would tell them that your goal is to bill $1,000 a week, like what we're going to talk about today. And then from there, you could almost triple that and still not have to have the next level of licensing here in Virginia. So after you get that taken care of, the next thing you're going to do is, you don't have to have a full out CPA. You can go to an accounting firm and you can just sit down with someone, spend 45 minutes, call, Get a recommendation from somebody you know that's a business owner and say, hey, who do you use? Taking the time to sit down with a CPA or a business advisor slash accountant and say, this is what my plan is, this is what I want to do. Getting started, going in the right direction, filing your paperwork, keeping your receipts, doing everything on the back end correctly. If you spend the money that it's going to cost, because they're going to charge you a consulting fee, probably somewhere between $150 and $300, it's totally worth it. You might sit down with them for an hour, hour and a half. It could save you days, weeks of countless hours trying to go backwards to fix mistakes that you made just by sitting down with talking to them in the beginning and having them guide you along the way. I couldn't recommend it more. I highly recommend get a good CPA or a good accountant, business analyst, and have them go over everything with you from the very beginning. Don't do it after. That's what most of us did. It's what I did. I can tell you that I used to keep my receipts in Food Lion bags, crumpled up. I'd pull them out of my pocket, throw them in a Food Lion bag. I'd fill the bag up, tie that bag, start another bag. At the end of the year, I'd walk in and I'd have 6 Food Lion bags of receipts. And I'd have to straighten them all out. Then I'd have to go back and log them where they go. Or I had to pay my accountant untold thousands and thousands of dollars to go through and do it for me. Where once we figured out the system, now we do it kind of every day, even with my company the size it is. And at the end of the year, everything's just kind of where it needs to be. And you don't have to pay somebody to go through and sort all that and reconcile everything for you. So figuring that out in the beginning is going to be very, very important. Don't overcomplicate it though. The the most important thing that you can do is make sure you kind of keep it simple in the beginning, get the license, talk to someone, have them give you a brief or descriptive idea of how you need to be tracking things, whether you're going to be tracking your mileage or tracking your gas plus your maintenance, all those things. You're going to have to figure all that out along the way. But there's no way for me to give you the advice that the subscriber that made the comment. I can't give you advice on your locality because I don't know it. If you happen to be in Hopewell, Virginia, then yeah, shoot me a message and I'll gladly meet with you in person and go over everything that you need to do. Or anywhere around Central Virginia, really, I would love to do that. But I can't help you if you're in North Dakota. I don't have a clue. I've never even been there. There's no way that I could know what the standards are and what they require in your area for that. But to get started, do what you already know how to do. Do things that you know you can figure out how to do. Start small, check with your local government agency and make sure you're doing what they need you to do. Get with a CPA or an accountant and make sure you do what they say you should do from the beginning, and you'll be miles ahead of everybody who does not do those things. That's another video brought to you by Beyond the Estimates. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more.